Hi, it's Josh here from Shimano Australia. Today we are going to run you through the simple side of servicing your smaller spinning reels. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm using one of our Twin Powers. The main thing that I will tell you is with whatever reel you're going to do this with, go to the Shimano Fish website, find the schematic. They're all slightly different. They're all very similar. They are slightly different and you will need to know those differences. So for this, we're going to simply take off the spool. The tools that I'm using today are fairly easily found. Main ones being a screwdriver that is suitable for the screw you're going to be taking off. So for the line roll on this reel, I need a flathead screwdriver. Sometimes you will need a Torx screwdriver. Just make sure you're looking at the tool you need, use a suitable tool. The next one is a little fine set of tweezers. And what I'm going to do is, again, going by the schematic, pull things out one at a time, lay them out as you pull them out. That does make it easier getting them back in. If you need to take photos, stop and take photos with your smartphone as pieces come out, and you'll know how it was when it was in there when you started. I'm taking out that little retaining clip that's in there, and then I'm going to take out the first drag washer. This is one of the ones you do need to take notice of. The top is domed on this one. Some will be flat, some will be domed. Second one down is going to be a fiber washer. In this particular reel we have 3 fiber washers and we have 3 metal washers. All 3 metal washers are completely different. And the fiber washers, there are 2 types, but I'll point that out as I get in there. So the very bottom fiber washer on this particular reel is a different size. So again, the reason we laid it all out nicely just like that is I can tell first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, we're going back in like that. Now to actually clean them, what I'm going to do is just take a clean rag. For the felt ones, they're not very sturdy, but as long as you don't bend them or rip them the wrong way, all you need to do is keep them flat on the table and you can just wipe off any of that excess grease. The metal ones, all we do, we pick them up, we just wipe off any grease. If it is a bit old, you will find that that grease can be a bit white and creamed. That's usually water that's got in there. If you want to see how to clean the reels after you finish with them, we'll put a couple of links just up the top here. But over time you can get a small amount of water in there that will sort of cream that grease up a bit. So I've cleaned those off just like that. I'll also just inside the top of the spool there, I'm just going to gently wipe. Don't force anything, don't push too hard, but just wipe out any excess that's in there because we're going to put in nice new stuff to get us going. Other thing I have is some grease that I got from our service department. If you do need anything or any advice, simply give Shimano Australia a call. The service department is happy to help. Today I'm using TBMO. There are 2 greases that we do recommend using. Now I would take note of where you're fishing because the 2 different greases are of a different thickness. So today I'm using a TBMO, which is the thinner one. There's also an Ace 2, which is much thicker. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take the TBMO that I've got from our lovely service department. I'm just going to put a little bit on my fingers, just like that. All I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to keep that nice and flat. And all I'm going to do is just try and work that grease in. You can put a little bit extra on there because what's going to happen is when we put it all back together, it's simply going to be pushed out of the way and what we need will stay. Let's get a bit more on there. So we're just lightly keeping it flat, try not to bend them, try not to pull them. As I said, these can be a little, not flimsy, but they don't want to be pulled apart or twisted or anything. Just keep them nice and flat like that. I'm just going to lay them out, work it in with my fingers. Right, we'll wipe any excess off. And all we do is we're just simply going to work backwards from this point. So I remember that one went in first. We'll just lay that little guy in there just like that. I know my first metal drag washer is going to have those posts up. Again, if you get lost, something falls out, refer to the schematic which can be found on the Shimano website. Next, fibre washer fits in there nicely, just like that. Next one on this particular reel is a keyed washer. So you'll see that there are two little tabs just there, and those two little teeth are just going to slot right in there like that. Just like playing Operation when you're a kid, if you're my age. Again, we've got our next fibre drag washer. So obviously we're going fibre, metal, fibre, metal, fibre, metal. Put that one in there. Now we can see that first drag washer with those 4 tabs is obviously going to fit those 4 holes there. I know on this particular reel it's going to be dome up. I'm going to lay that one in there just like that. You can use your finger, it's sat in there nicely. Now with this retaining clip, I can see that there's a little ridge underneath, and all I want to do is I want to get that retaining clip. I'm just going to put it in. I'm going to hold my finger to put it in place, and it should just pop into place like that. That is basically your drag completely serviced. We won't need to do anything else with the drag from there. So now we'll move on to the line roller. Tools we're going to need for this one, make sure that you get the correct screwdriver for the screw you're trying to take out. In this case, it is a flathead screwdriver. Some of them it will be a Torx bit, some of them it can be a Phillips head. Just make sure you're using the correct one. All we're going to do is, same as we were doing the drag, we're going to undo it and we're going to lay it out as the parts come off. So we're going to simply support the back of the line roller there. We're going to unscrew that screw. I'm going to take it out with the tweezers and lay it down there. And then we're going to very carefully just take that bail arm back like that. We have a spacer there. And as we mentioned, keep going through that schematic because that has all the answers for you. We're going to slide out the support there. Lay that down there like that. We're going to pull out that support. Now in this particular model of reel, which is the Twin Power, the line roller is actually one piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the function of that line roller. That one's fine in this case. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reassemble it. I'm going to give it a little bit of grease. So I'm going to take that support. I'm going to put it back through the bail wire there. Now there are 2 little squared tabs. So I'm just going to turn it with my fingers and I'm going to feel that support pop back into position, just like that. I know that my spacer goes on facing that way to space. At this point, I'm going to grab just the teeniest little bit of grease and I'm just going to put it on that support. Now what this is going to do is that grease will actually just repel a little bit of water. Don't overdo this grease, you don't want too much, but any excess will just get moved out of the way as we go on. I know there's a short side and a long side to this. Again, you'll see it on the schematic. I'm going to slide that back on just like that. I'm going to put a little bit more grease just on that back side there. And then I'm going to put my support back on the post, my spacer back on the support there. I'm going to put my bail arm back in, hold it all there with my fingers. I'm going to put it in and just gingerly get those threads, making sure not to cross thread it. It should go in easy. At no point should you need to force or do anything hard. It should all go back together nicely. I'm going to screw that line roller back in just like that. We don't need to go super tight. We just need to have it in there with a little bit of force. Once you're done, just hold the bail arm there and just test with your finger. There's no movement here. I've got free movement on the line roller there. Give it a test like that. And that is basically how to give your line roller and your drag on your smaller spinning reels a little bit of service at home, bit of love, get you through the next service from our service department.